In the next 5 minutes of your time, we'll go over streaming versus batch processing. What are they, when to use which, some sample use cases. So what is streaming? Streaming is a broad term. You may think of Netflix or other streaming platforms. In the context of analytical data pipelines, streaming, or more precisely, stream processing, is taking action on a series of data at the time the data is created. It is when you collect data incrementally and load them in near real time. What is batch processing? Batch processing is when you collect data over an interval of time and process it at a scheduled interval, such as daily, hourly, every 15 minutes, etc. Why streaming over batch processing? There are many use cases where batch processing is the right solution. In this video, we'll focus on when streaming is preferred over batch processing. One, streaming is low latency, near real time, while batch processing is scheduled at a regular interval. So if you're doing something that involves high sensitivity to latency, you may want to consider a streaming solution. Second, streams are incremental. So streaming does incremental processing, which saves cost and time. What that means is streaming engines can keep track of what data has already been loaded and only loads the new data, which is inherently more efficient in most cases. Batch processing, on the other hand, typically needs to copy all of your data on every run. This is not a problem if your data set is small, but if you were to scale up to a large volume of data, the cost of moving around all that data can really add up. That is not to say you can't do incremental loading with batch processing. It would just require a lot more work. You would need to implement the incremental logic yourself, like get the latest timestamp from your destination table, use that to filter your source table, then do a load. And you'll need to offset that timestamp by an arbitrary period to handle late arriving data. As you can imagine, there's extra development effort that goes into making batch processing incremental. While batch processing is a good choice for many use cases, streaming data is ideal for use cases where, one, low latency is a requirement for a use case. Two, you have high volumes of data. Three, you have frequent updates. Or you have a strict operating budget. Here's a real-world example to help you understand the concept a little bit more. Let's say you have an application that writes data to SQL Server, but the reporting team uses Elasticsearch. In a batch processing solution, you would load the data from SQL Server to Elasticsearch once a day, maybe in a nightly job. In a streaming solution, you would set up a system to load data from your source, SQL Server, to your destination, Elasticsearch, continuously, so that as soon as the data hits SQL Server, the data collection and loading will take place. What are some of the real-world use cases for stream processing? Stock trading, for example. Stock prices are often volatile and low latency is required to derive especially short-term insights from trading data. Another example is when someone uses their credit card to pay for a purchase. The card data is sent to the bank in real time. Within seconds, the bank verifies that the card has sufficient balance and responds with approval. E-commerce machine learning algorithms. A lot of e-commerce companies use machine learning models that collect shoppers' shopping behavioral data in session and use that to predict their intent and likelihood to purchase so that the business can influence the purchasing behavior with the right offers or promotions before the shopper leaves the session. Social media platforms rely on a lot of real-time streaming analytics like ad targeting, obviously, or abuse detection. They are constantly analyzing user data to find fake and abusive accounts and take proactive action to stop the abuses. Real-time trending, a big part of social media is to feed the properly prioritized content on users' feeds by analyzing user data, hashtag trends, and breaking news, etc. There are a lot more use cases, just to name a few here. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to this channel for upcoming content on how to start or build a career in tech, how to automate using low-code RPA, how to build real-time low-code data pipelines, and other tech content.